regulate the sector. And over time, we have seen regulation, and maybe I'll talk about it there. We have seen progression in everything from national content. We've seen development of companies, increase in uptake of contracts from about 28% to the last quarter of 36. So that is what we do in regulation. We use the tools, we use the laws to make sure we regulate the industry.
Thank you very much, James. That was quite interesting. Very, very focused on what you do. Now we move on to the opportunities. And I know for many Ugandans out there, the big question is, when are things happening? Where is the opportunity? Matthew, I have been with you for quite some time in the oil and gas sector. I think from the early 2000s, or sorry, 2011, I think. Matthew has been with CNOOC for quite some time as well. Matthew, opportunities in this sector. People would like to know, where are the opportunities?
Thank you so much, moderator, Mr. Tony. Our dear viewers, we thank you for joining us, finding time to join us for this Supplier Development e-conference. As our host, our moderator, Tony, has well told you, our theme for this e-conference is Preparedness of Local Businesses for the Development Phase of the Oil and Gas Sector in Uganda. We chose the theme to ensure that it is relevant, and our aim was to ensure that Ugandan businesses are re-energized and given information that is relevant for them to partake in the forthcoming or in the opportunities in the project that is coming. Allow me, gentlemen, to take you through some of the opportunities in the Kingfisher oil field, where CNOOC is the operator. We have the Lake Albert Oil and Gas Development Project has currently two ongoing projects, which is the Kingfisher and also the Tilenga. The Tilenga project is operated by our partners, joint venture partners, Total E&P and Talo, while the Kingfisher block is operated by CNOOC Uganda Limited. Now, allow me to take you through the opportunities that CNOOC Uganda Limited, or that is the Kingfisher project, has. What we've done as Kingfisher, we have unbundled. We have several EPC packages. EPC, by EPC, I mean engineering, procurement, and construction. We are going to unbundle. We have actually unbundled these into four. That is EPC 1, 2, 3, and 4. EPC 1 is the pre-drilling civil works. These works that are done before the oil rig is put in place and before the actual drilling starts. So this package has been designed in such a way that, because it is majorly civil works, that it is going to be done by a Ugandan company, and this is in line with the national content regulations, which actually mandate it to only all civil works to be done by Ugandan companies. The other is, and here in this, there will be opportunities for supply of equipment, supply of goods like cement, steel, gravel, bitumen, and construction supervision services. And all these are here and available in Uganda. The second package, EPC 2, is the Kingfisher oilfield infrastructure. This includes the detailed engineering design and procurement of all materials and equipment, and the construction of a supply base, permanent camp, and safety check station. This is also going to be majorly civil works that we hope a Ugandan company will partake. In the event that we are unable to get a Ugandan company and an international company does it, we shall ensure that at least 70% of these works are done by Ugandans, especially the civil works. So the third and most critical is the EPC 3, which is the Kingfisher oilfield treatment facilities. This will include the detailed engineering design and procurement of materials and equipment, the construction of a central processing facility, inflow lines, lake water intake pump station, temporary camp, and the opportunities here. And if I give you a little details, the central processing facility that we are going to construct is going to be a 40,000 barrels of oil per day capacity, with 4 well pads and 31 wells. Some of these wells will be water injection wells, and others will be producer wells. And we shall ensure that, at least in this package, much as it is going most likely to be taken by an international company, because of the level of expertise it needs and experience in oil and gas, we shall ensure that the components of civil works and other components of camp constructions that are in this package will be subcontracted to Ugandan companies. Then the fourth and last package, Mr. Tony, is the EPC4. And this is the Kingfisher feeder line, which is a 46-kilometer feeder line or pipeline, pipeline to transport the crude from our Kingfisher field to the refinery in Kabale and the export hub. The oil pipeline, it joins the ECOP, the East African Crude Oil Pipeline. This, we shall have opportunities where our welders that we are currently training, together with our partners and Minister of Education, to make sure that the trained certified welders of Uganda will have opportunities to work. We shall also subcontract all the civil works to the Ugandan companies. Then there are also other opportunities and packages in the drilling packages. Drilling packages, these are the companies, the packages that will actually have the real core where the drilling itself will happen. These are going to be most likely either Ugandan or international, but very experienced drilling companies. But we have mandated them or required them to train and employ Ugandans in the jobs that the Ugandans can do, and also to subcontract Ugandan companies in those fields like civil works and others where Ugandan companies have expertise and capacity to do so. The other packages or opportunities will include construction of 50 houses. These are for the PAPs, the project affected persons, majorly along the pipeline and also in the areas of Kingfisher or Buhuka where we operate from. We shall have construction of a buffer yard, camp upgrade, airstrip maintenance, helipad construction, and the list is long. This is just to tell you some of the opportunities the Kingfisher project is presenting to the Ugandans, and we want to ensure that Ugandans partake of these as required by the national content regulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthew. That is quite comprehensive, especially from the CNOOC part of things, because when we look at this whole story, we also see that, you know, Talo is exiting, Total is taking over Talo area, and there are also now more opportunities that are coming into shape. James, can you just explain some of these other opportunities before we go into the general discussion?
Thank you very much, Tony. To add on to the opportunities of CNOOC, there are other opportunities. There is a saying that has been going around, saying that Uganda turns a kunyumira. I think the oil and gas has started kunyumira.
Okay.
Because
I like that.
at the place we are at, where we are seated, we have opportunities almost at four stages. The minister last year announced a new licensing round. So we have companies that are coming in to find more oil. So at licenses and with expression of interest, companies will come in to add on to that. We had companies that were producing opportunities at those where they had issued licenses, but had not yet discovered. So we had Oranto and Ama here, which got licenses, I think, in 2018, and they had opportunities there, and they are going to continue with opportunities because the project they have acquired seismic data. Now they are going to come and do some drilling of some wells to try and discover and add on to the resources.
Okay.
So those are two. But the most important ones are part of the CNOOC project, where we have had confirmed discoveries. You've heard that we have Tilenga up north, which is being operated by Total, we have Kingfisher, which is CNOOC. Those present opportunities because we have had a process of pre-FID activities or pre-FID investment decision activities. We have had FEED being done, front-end engineering and design being done. We have the environmental studies being done. We've done acquisition of land. All these have been done in preparation for the most important stage, construction. Construction of the facilities that will help remove the oil, construction of well pads that will help in drilling. These provide opportunities. That investment of Kingfisher and CNOOC and Total Tilenga is expected to bring a cost of about 8 billion. But when you have removed the oil, where do you take it? You either have to refine it or take it through a pipeline for the commercial market, commercialization. So we are building a 1,443 long heated kilometer pipeline from Hoima to Tanga. Those are opportunities from civil to construction to engineering to electrical, telecommunication of the pipeline. Those are opportunities.
Right.
Then you also have a refinery that is going to come, a 60,000 barrel refinery. Right now they have done environmental studies, they have done geotech surveys. That one will also create opportunities. So I'm telling you that oil and gas etani sekunyumira because opportunities will be there for Ugandans.
I guess that's an interesting one, especially from the Petroleum Authority telling us, begin kunyuma. It's going to be fun. So let us just now go to Ms. Benita Bagere. Ms. Benita Bagere is a very interesting lady. She's the founder and managing director of Albertine Oil and Gas Services in Uganda. It also has a subsidiary in Kenya. Ms. Benita Bagere, welcome to this very interesting e-conference. I'll first of all ask you one very important question that a lot of local businesses struggle with. You have managed to grow your business, you have managed to go international, but this has also been very much around the partnerships you have forged along the way. Tell us something about the partnerships and how do you make them? Because we all know it's a capital-intensive sector, a sector that not everyone can easily get into, but by forming the right partnerships, it becomes possible for your businesses. How have you done it as a business lady for your company?
Thank you, Tony. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to my fellow panelists and viewers. Tony, it's all about preparedness. First of all, it's about having an interest in the industry. That's the first thing. Then being prepared, doing research, online, with the Petroleum Authority, with Chamber, with the international oil companies, and that's what I did and found as much information as I could possibly about Uganda and about the current industry. I then started attending conferences, international conferences, because that's where you're going to find the international companies. I started attending them in Uganda, in Kenya, and other places, and talking to them and really getting as much and putting your house in place. Making sure that your finances are in place, making sure that your social security is in place, taxation, do you have a website? Because international companies are also looking for companies that are up to par with them. And through this, I have then managed to meet several companies, and I've partnered with like Emerson, which is an international Forbes 500 company listed on the New York Stock Exchange, because companies like that are also looking to partner with local companies. So where will they meet them? It's in conferences, it's at workshops, it's online. And that's what my suggestion to a lot of companies in Uganda or in East Africa is to first of all start research, make sure that you're knowledgeable. So when they're engaging you, you know what you're talking about. Basically, that's what I've done. But it's been a bit difficult, especially now with COVID, because I've lost some, because they have lost also their businesses, because obviously, the oil prices crashed, and of course with COVID. So it's also difficult right now. It's difficult, but we just have to hang in there as much as we can.
It's very interesting that you talk about, trying to stay afloat, especially in these times of COVID. For many businesses around the globe, many companies have had to shut down their operations. And I guess a lot of your operations as well have been impacted. The fact that you do not have flights happening. I believe you're right now in Nairobi, stuck in Nairobi for, whatever reasons. But in terms of supporting you beyond this, or even before the COVID pandemic started, Is there any dialogue from the government that you see that can support you or your industry in these constraints that we see a lot of Ugandan businesses are going through? And again, it will also be probably a leading question to James, because James, I think I need you to articulate the areas that are ring-fenced for Ugandan businesses so we can have a proper appreciation of these subsectors and sectors that are ring-fenced for Ugandan businesses. But back to you, Benita. Could you just answer that? You know, I mean, is there enough dialogue between the local industry with the government in terms of trying to identify the genuine constraints?
Tony, I think the government has done a great job in informing the public on what is happening, like informing about the opportunity, some of the opportunities. They've done a great job in skilling and supporting those kind of industries and technical industries. But in terms of dialogue, I think government can do more, can sit with industry and discuss and really find out what is really on the ground instead of just talking to us. Yes, I think we need to go to the next stage of dialogue, and this is where we are. They've done a fantastic job, but it's time for dialogue, especially now, again, after COVID. Some of the companies that were interested are not going to be there. They've probably shut down. So what is the way forward? They need to really understand our thinking and what our issues are. For example, you know, some of the people I talk to, probably taxation, for example. If a company has been in operation for a long time and they have tax issues, they cannot then qualify in the national supplier database. What do? Is there a way they can start paying it off in installments? Those kind of things, because there are big companies that are going to lose out simply because of issues like that, a lot of issues that they have. And I know Tony with Stanbic Bank, you've tried to help a lot on that, but there's a lot more that needs to be done to really understand the issue and then see how we can deal with it.
Thank you so much, Benita. Actually, just to emphasize for the viewers, to get onto the National Supplier Database, you have to be URSB registered. You have to have your compliance approved by URA, but also your compliance approved by National Social Security Fund, which is NSSF. And finally, it is the bank, right? So again, you will explain more about that and why it's important for you to be registered in the National Supplier Database for you to participate in the oil and gas sector. But now let me just move swiftly to Dr. Emma Naluyima, a lady who is known as Mama Pig for many of the people who have watched her YouTube, TED Talks, and so on and so forth. Welcome to this e-conference. And Doctor, the first question I'll probably ask you is, what is the situation like for you in regard to the oil and gas situation, or the oil and gas sector, and the agribusiness sector? How are we prepared? Are we prepared at all?
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Now, I would like to thank James. When James was talking, and he was saying, oil atanso kunyumira. The same thing would be for agribusiness. And I would actually clap our hands, if it were possible. Viewers out there, clap your hands for CNOOC, JP1, and the agribusiness incubator, because they've done a good job by preparing us. Mm-hmm. But now the situation, what hurts is the place where we really think we would call it the oil city, Hoima. It's sad. We are not prepared at all. Mm-hmm. We are not prepared at all. I went to Hoima, I think a month ago.
Yes. And
then we go to this one. We woke up early because we needed to be there early, and we're going to have a return journey. And we go to this hotel. It's supposed to be a very nice hotel. They didn't have breakfast at 10. For us, the locals, there was no breakfast at 10. Maybe we went in late, but I know there was no breakfast at 10. And we're like, okay, let's go and work. And then we come back at 1. And no, we come back at midday. Lunch was not ready. You get it? And this is the local, and this is us, as in. So what will happen when this whole thing starts? So we are not prepared at all. But then the good news is, like I said, clap for CNOOC and the other other sponsors. They're here to help us, and you've been doing it for the last, I think every quarter you come out and tell people. And everyone, I just pray and hope this advert went to especially the people in Hoima, because it will be so absurd if this thing begins and the people in Hoima are not doing anything. And then we are getting food from everywhere, from Kenya or from, it will be good if it comes from Kampala because it's still in Uganda, but it will be so sad that if we are going to start importing, okay? Yeah. And this is the chance. If there's a time agriculture is going to be so interesting and nice, it's going to be now when the oil and gas sector starts. Just look at what he has been, he kept saying, Albert, and you know all these things, and he kept telling us, you gave us all these opportunities in the oil, but I was just counting money for the, from the farmers. I was just counting money because I was seeing all these people have to feed. You people, if the farmers are not there, you would all die.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is money for the farmers. And this is going to be a very good time for us if we are to prepare. But anyway, we are here. I think I sent this poster to one of my friends and told her, then she's like, I've not understood this. I tell oil and gas, I tell agribusiness, I tell you a vet, and then where do you come in? And I'm like, wait, this is where I come in. I'm going to teach them how to farm, and then we feed them, and then we feed the whole world. So we've partnered with Hokadeo, that is Hoima Caritas Development Organization. Yeah. And we've partnered with them. They have a piece of land lying out there. Yeah. And we're just going to, and I'm sure many people are wondering, but Emma, this smallholder farmer, and that's the gist, because everyone, 80% of Ugandans are smallholder farmers. So we're not going to wait for all these other people who are big. And then if we wait for the big people, what will happen to the small ones? They will just tramp on us. So the opportunities for the smallholder farmers to come up, we are going to train you. We are going to teach you. We are going to train you and teach you how to use your small spaces and produce a lot of money. So we are going to create a food hub, and all the food you are going to prepare or grow, we are going to create a food hub ready for supplying to these camps, and then even ready for export. Remember, there's an airport going on. So this is the right time, and everyone there in Hoima, please, just start.
I think it's a great opportunity, and maybe just to put perspective to this, when you're looking at the oil and gas sector at peak, and I think James and Matthew, you'll back me up on this, you're looking at least 14 to 15,000 directly employed workers eating quality food, not just the normal food from Mama Mary, but the food that is at a quality hotel. What that means is that we need to have all of this food available 24/7 because the guys work in shifts, right? Now, if they work in shifts, do we have the capacity as a country today? I do not think so. So if you're looking at the 15,000 directly employed workers, then you're looking at the 35 indirectly employed workers, and the other 100 who are going to come about as induced, coming in with all this, I mean, that is like about 150,000 people who need to eat quality food. So I think it's very important when you talk about agriculture. But Dr. Emma, just before I leave you, let me just go back to the question of what do we have to do as a country to prepare ourselves for this story?
Now, as a country, of course, we have to educate or equip farmers with knowledge, which we are going to do, or which we have been doing. So we have to keep them with knowledge, like you've said, this knowledge for them to know that they have to produce good food, quality food that has to be eaten by these workers so that they're healthy, okay? And that's where there's a challenge. In Uganda, we don't respect so many things like the drug withdrawal period if you use chemicals. But it's going to be paramount for the farmers to do it well so that we produce good food. Otherwise, these people are going to import food because we are dealing with, I think, expatriates. We're dealing with so many people who mind their health. And if we have, and we have all this land, we have all this weather, so we have to make sure that we do it the best way. And then you have to equip farmers or with finances. That's where the bank comes in, okay? Because if you want us to work, we don't have that money. So like we are going to follow Beatrice's advice to be bankable. We have to do certain things, okay? But then we need finances. We need access to finance to make sure that we can have these farmers really do something nice. And then we have to have quality inputs. Again, now government has to come in, the UNBS, they have to make sure that everything that is supplied or the things that are in the country, the inputs that are in the country are of good quality. Because that's, again, another big challenge when it comes to the farming world, okay? And then technology, good technology, I think access to technology in all ways. When we talk of technology, we think of the very big tractors and all that, but there are different simple technologies, but that are going to help irrigation, solar irrigation, you know, these things that we really need to make sure that work, and they are going to equip and help farmers to deliver.
Absolutely. You're talking about climate smart farming, which is becoming the norm right now. And that's quite interesting. But also, we also need also to think about how making it affordable. And I think that's also what you intend to do in Hoima. And again, we applaud you for that. Now, I'll come back to James. James, you know, the sectors that are ring-fenced for Ugandan businesses. Because again, it's very important for us to talk about these sectors, but also for Ugandan businesses to prepare, because as the oil and gas sector is, it's a very time-bound sector. And because it's time-bound, the companies like CNOOC will not wait for Mr. Otowa to get ready. They will move with whoever is ready, whether he's coming in from Malaysia or wherever. What are you doing to support the businesses, the local businesses, as Petroleum Authority, in trying to support these businesses to become ready? But first, mention these these sectors, and then tell us what you're doing.
Thank you very much, Tony. It's a very interesting discussion because there's a lot that has been put in.
Sure.
Just as I told you that apart from putting the necessary institutional and legal framework, there's a lot of initiatives that have gone. But let me first deal with the institutional and legal framework. There are specific national content regulations that help promote national content and a bit favor Ugandan companies in this. In those regulations, for the oil and gas sector, there are specific ring-fenced goods, that these are ring-fenced for Ugandan companies and Ugandan entities. Those include ICT and equipment, environmental and waste management, they include food, and they include catering, they include HR services, they include civil works, there are 16 services there on the regulation. So anyone out there needs to interest themselves in these regulations to know the 16 ring-fenced services. Now, apart from the law that facilitates, as PAU, I think it's the only sector, the oil and gas sector, where you find national content is embedded in the institutional framework, that you have staff and people dedicated to ensure that Ugandans participate. That's why CNOOC has a national content person. That's why I'm in Petroleum Authority. Outside other sectors, I don't think that has been done. But on those, government has had very many other initiatives. I'll run through them. For example, we've started agriculture development program that is implemented, targeting the 4 districts that are in the Albertine, Chikube, Hoima, Noya, and Bulisa. This is to help feed and develop the agriculture of that area. So that when the oil starts, when you go into EPC, the 14,000 direct workers you're talking about, the 105,000 induced that will be in the region, almost 1 million people in the Albertine Graben, there is no shortage of food. So that program is running and identifying farmers to make sure they produce on top of the national supply. Number 2, there are specific capacity building initiatives that have been implemented by government in areas of HSE, because HSE is very important for the sector. So in areas of HSE, in areas of bidding, in areas of bid management, those are important, and government through development partners, with the help of development partners, has been doing those programs basically to equip Ugandan companies. The other is that there has been the national supplier database. This has done magic for us, that we're able to have a database of people and know their capacity and know their gaps and where we can develop them. You'll be surprised that we've had stories from people who are coming to do the EPC, seated in London, seated in wherever they are, having access to the supplier database and identifying someone who has a stone quarry in Hoima and telling him, you know what, we want to enter a joint venture with you because of his visibility to the industry. So that's another tool, and we have some companies there from Ugandans. This has grown from about 500 in 2017 when we start to over 1,700 today, and 70% of those are Ugandan companies. Now, the other initiatives that are in place are that regional conferences. we have preached this. And I remember this, when you were still in Total, Tony, from about 2014-15, we started having conferences, seminars, telling people about these opportunities. This is not the first. We've been to Hoima having the National Content Conference. We've supported the IOCs in having quarterly conferences, 2 in other places, 2 in the region. We are preaching about these opportunities every day. I think it's about time we all wake up and we say, fine, these opportunities, we're hearing them, how do we prepare? Government is coming in to support. And lastly, maybe for funding, we've seen it's a very big challenge. The National Content Policy realizes there is a gap in relation to funding and has proposed a National Content Fund. The government is developing instruments so that we can be able to help where there is a problem with capital, to be able to help the companies be able to deliver. So I could sit here, Tony, all day and talk about the initiatives, but government is doing a lot, especially through PAU, to make sure that we put farmers and all other sectors into able to participate in the sector. We are focusing on sectoral linkages to avoid what you hear, the oil cast. You don't have to concentrate on oil alone. Concentrate on other sectors. How do they fit in? How does agriculture fit into oil and gas? How does tourism fit oil and gas? And we have had sectoral linkages, specific interactions with different sectors. How does education fit in oil and gas? To make sure that the sectors are also alive to these opportunities.
Thank you so much, James. That's quite interesting. And I guess for many of our viewers, you can join us by asking some questions off Slido. We are on www.slido.com. And when you get to www.slido.com, look out for the code 47977. You can post your questions there and we'll be answering them, or my amazing panel here will be answering. Let me just get on to some of the questions off Slido, and coming to you, Matthew, I will ask, how may CNOOC and Stanbic Bank help SMEs to make sustainability a key as part of SMEs or SME business strategy? And then also tied to that, and I will add, because it's very crucial for us to also acknowledge the social implications of such projects. It's one thing to just think about the opportunities in terms of money, but it's also another thing to think about the social implications, which are inevitable. And Nicholas is asking, how can we incorporate awareness on gender-based violence, GBV, particularly targeting SMEs in the oil and gas sector as part of the SDGs? GBV affects their personnel. So, Matthew, can you just answer those?
Yes, thank you so much, Tony. And that's a very, very good question about sustainability and continuity. As CNOOC, to ensure sustainability, we have gotten into strategic partnerships with organizations like the Stanbic Bank Incubator to ensure that Ugandan companies and SMEs are trained. We are also engaging other stakeholders like Ministry of Education to ensure that we train Ugandans to be able to partake in these upcoming opportunities, especially certification of, for example, welders. We also ensuring that every year we shall, as CNOOC, be training about 70 heavy goods vehicle drivers to ensure that there is a availability of trained and certified personnel to transport the equipment from Mombasa to Uganda. We are also looking at environmental issues. We had, to ensure sustainability, of course, the environment is very key. We have done an environmental impact assessment for the entire Kingfisher project, and recommendations have been made, and eco-sensitive areas have been mapped to ensure that the oil and gas industry or our activities do not have a negative impact on the climate or the environment. And several other initiatives like tree planting with NEMA. We have a project with NEMA where we plant quite a number, some thousands of trees per year. We are actually engaged in also trainings. We have engaged some local companies in Hoima where we train the people that host us, the people around the Kingfisher area on financial sustainability and how to, for example, manage traffic. For example, expecting a lot of traffic, trucks and all that. So we are looking at safety issues where we train people on how to cross the roads, how to be careful, and stuff like that.
Very important.
And this issue of sustainability and continuity, we are taking it seriously as CNOOC.
Absolutely amazing, Ben. Thank you so much for that. I'll just now go back to Benita. Benita, is the public confident that we are, as we get to FID, everyone has been saying FID is very close. FID, by the way, for many of the viewers, is final investment decision. Benita, as we get close to this FID situation, are you confident as a business? Do you think a lot of the public is confident about engaging in this oil and sector once again? Let's also realize or recognize that many businesses burnt their fingers in the last period because of lack of information and jumped into a sector they never clearly understood. But we've had enough time to prepare. Are you ready? Are your peers ready? What's your story?
Tony, I don't believe that the public is confident that FID is going to be announced in 2020 or 2021 because of, like you said, they were burnt before and the dates keep changing. So do they invest or reinvest in their business, waiting for FID? Or what I believe will happen is a lot of companies are going to wait and watch and then join later once they're confident. But at the moment, I think there's going to be very few of us. And like Dr. Emma is saying, if a hotel in Hoima cannot even prepare breakfast, what about other companies or other sectors? That's very tricky. How is government now going to convince us that FID is finally coming? Because every year FID is coming, and we're still waiting. I am confident after Total's announcement in April, but are other companies confident? I don't know. I think we need to hear from James.
I think we're going to have to hear more from James, and James will, of course, tell us more before we close this. But let me just go back to Dr. Emma Nalima. We are talking about agriculture, a sector that very many young people are not very enthusiastic about because of the returns. How do you convince the young farmers? And I'm excited whenever I go onto Twitter and I see how many young farmers are out there, doing so much amazing stuff in the area of farming. How do you plan to change that narrative and make it an exciting venture for us to understand that when we talk about oil and gas, as a smallholder farmer, as a young person, there's money in that venture and I need to start preparing myself. How do we go about that?
Okay, now, before even, this is the question you're asking is for now. But then we need to, yes, I'm going to answer it. But then thanks to God, gave me a vision.
We all do get vision.
And this vision started 4 years ago,
right,
when I started training the young. So when we opened my school called MST Junior School, it's a primary school that is tailored actually to teaching the young how to farm. It's normal school, but you
have a bias?
We have a bias to agriculture.
Right.
And it's amazing what these young learners do. The other day we had another live stream conference, e-conference. And then it's the learners who are telling us what they were doing in COVID, around COVID, and they were training there. So as when he talked about different companies joining with education, so that's very good. We need to start it from right down there.
Right,
but now, going forward,
right,
we have to include the youth in the value chain, youth and women. Mm-hmm. Now you see, the youth that have not been given a chance to maybe to go to schools like MST, just need money at this time, and what do I do? But then they don't really need to get involved in agriculture. Maybe they want, the youth want smart agriculture. They don't want maybe get dirty, but there's so many things they can do.
Right.
The ICT, now there are youth that are dealing with apps maybe to help farmers do things like tell the temperature, tell the weather. There's an app that helps farmers mix their feed. So there's so much going on. But if you can include them in the value chain, that would be good. And then we give them all these opportunities. We tell them that, no, there's this. You don't really have to go in the dirt, but then you can pick the food from here. You can package it. You can do what? You know, all that. All that. Okay? So these youth have to be given, again, the right information. And then we have to give, of course, there are those, like you've said, you've seen youth that actually are doing it. We have to put those youth that are doing it at the forefront. In
the limelight.
And then we show them so that these other youth get to see that, oh my, if so-and-so did it, I can do it because I'm that, and he or she is my same age. And then we take it from there. And then now the other people who are already farming, like maybe the smallholder farmers who are already doing it, who are already there, this is what they need to do. They need to go into associations. They need to go into, what is it called? Associations, circles, cooperatives, okay? Like he said, in Uganda there's a saying, Omukisampeo, gusanga yetegese. So we have to make sure we get ready so that when this FID comes, whenever it comes, we just take it on.
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting. You know, I was reading actually something that was talking about being prepared versus luck. You know, everyone thinks, oh, to see someone driving around and they're saying that guy is lucky. But no, he was prepared, and when the opportunity came, he jumped onto it. And I think that's what we're trying to emphasize here.
Another thing I forgot actually, I would give advice to, again, the youth and the women who are already doing it. Please, there's this competition right now, the Best Farmer competition. Why am I saying it? That it's going to help you because it's like you mark and do this, their guidelines, okay? Right. So if you want to be like a best farmer, even if you don't want to, but you enter there, when you go in there, you'll be subjected to certain things. And when you're subjected to them, they will help you improve yourself, even if you don't win. But then you will have gotten a step higher to organize yourself.
Okay, so we only have about a few minutes left to the end of this very interesting discussion. This discussion, in my opinion, in my world, can go on for years or days, but I think we have to get ourselves short. So I'm just going to ask you just in 1 minute to give me your final remarks, but also your great ideas of where you see us going in terms of getting prepared for the oil and gas sector. And I will begin with James. James, how do we and how shall we get ourselves prepared? 1 minute from you.
Thank you very much. Though you posed the question to me.
Absolutely, you can answer that first.
That Benita sent
yes.
about the company's readiness. I think this thing of FID, as companies, we need to now look at being ready. Because if FID is taken now, are we ready? Should be the question.
Yeah, we're not.
Has it been a blessing that there's been maybe a delay in FID for you to get ready? FID in the oil and gas industry, I need to make 2 points. The oil and gas industry is not something that is predictable. Right now, there is a delay in FID because of maybe negotiation and what. But some other countries are being affected because of the low prices. So the industry becomes still. So the players have to come and understand that the oil and gas industry is not the normal smooth. You'll have the ups and downs, that curve. And either FID has been taken, tomorrow it will be prices, another day it will be a spill. You have to be able to understand that the industry works like that. Number two, the process of FID comes along with different things. There are different things that feed into FID. These have been ongoing, like environmental studies, feed, everything. So for me, the question is that our company is getting ready, taking advantages of this delay to deliver. That should be the question for Benita, and that should be a question for everyone there who is interested in the industry. So as I close,
yes,
the oil and gas sector and national content for us has been key. It's been growth. We've seen companies move from providing food only to being able to do seismic data acquisition, to do geotechnical survey. So for us, it's a process we're committed to. We encourage the companies, we encourage the players there to get interested in it. We're here to provide information, and I'm sure we can do economic transformation through participation of Ugandans in the sector.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Your 1 minute, Matthew.
Thank you so much, Tony. What I can tell the Ugandan suppliers is that I'll give them 3 or 4 pieces of advice very fast. One, ensure that your goods and services conform to the national or the oil and gas standards, to the bare minimum at least. That is UNBS or ISO standards. Then ensure that you meet project needs when you actually get a contract. Ensure that you meet the quality needed, make sure that you meet the quantity needed, and ensure that you meet the project schedule so that you can be able actually to get a next contract as well. Then thirdly, ensure capacity, development of capacity by forming joint ventures, strategic ones, like we are doing with the incubator. Then and ensure that you train during this period, train and certify your staff, and also register on the National Supplier Database if you are not yet, and also for the Ugandan employees, register on the National Oil and Gas Talent Register for visibility, so that someone out there can notice you and possibly form a joint venture with your company.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Matthew. So, Benita, your last parting shots.
Tony, thank you very much. What I can tell Ugandans is really to be prepared. A lot of information is out there. Go online, go to Petroleum Authority, go to the chamber, go to whatever the ministry, whatever is available, and try and get as much information and ask so that you can be prepared. We are closer to FID. I believe, I honestly do. And I think that whatever information is needed, most of it is online, and that's a very good place to start. Also, I think what I would tell them is, because when we're talking, we always think of the civil works and all the technical things. Ugandans need to be aware that even lawyers, can be, or caterers, or suppliers of eggs. Every sector can benefit in the oil and gas industry. I also would like our neighboring countries, we keep talking about the East African community, so I need to let them know also that they can participate. East Africans are welcome to come and participate in Uganda. Again, all the information is online. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Benita. Thank you so much to the amazing panel. I would like to thank each and every one of you who joined us for this first ever e-conference, coming out to you from Serena at the NTV studio. We would like to thank the producers for putting this out there for the general public to know, but also to make you realize that we are here to support you. We are here to make it easier for you to understand the oil and gas sector. Petroleum Authority is always available and can be contacted through their website. At CNOOC, Matthew is at hand as well to support you. And of course, at the Stanbic Business Incubator, we are available to make your businesses robust, to make your businesses withstand what it takes to be formidable in the oil and gas sector. That is who we are, that is what we do, and we can guarantee you that it will happen. So we thank you so much, and ladies and gentlemen, have a good afternoon.